This is Hanzo, Widow, Genji, McCree, High Masters on King's Row. Oh, both of you. Well, it's a good thing that Double Sniper is actually in the meta right now. Oh wow, he's gonna be one of these guys, is he?
I mean, look at my stats.
Yeah, mine are exactly the same as his. I don't see what his point is.
Let me play Doomfist and we win.
Okay, jump on comms, Apex.
I'm not kidding.
You have 2 limbs per life.
I'm just trying to get some food in my face.
Meaning that you die a lot.
Two
Yeah,
limbs per life is
but...
fine because you go in, you kill 2, you die, you won the fight.
Yep. That's how you play
That's
Doomfist.
how you play Doomfist.
Yeah, I know, but like...
Your point is...
That doesn't necessarily mean you're good.
Mate.
Thing is, I'm always...
Just stop arguing. We're not playing with a Doomfist. There's no need to argue about it. You were wrong. Move
I'm not
on.
arguing, I'm just making a point.
Let's just play the game and win.
This conversation is just like ranked nutshell. Ranked pugs, ranked pugs.
So,
Oh hey Apex, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm just mute the stream before I hear myself. Okay.
Ah, perfect. Well, how's your morning? Hopefully you had breakfast because I'm still I'm in the process.
I'm EU. I've finished work now. It's afternoon.
That doesn't necessarily mean you had breakfast though.
I actually didn't have breakfast. You're right.
See?
You got me.
See? What are you doing with your life, bud? Breakfast is an important meal. Also the
I don't
most
eat
delicious. You don't eat breakfast.
I don't eat breakfast.
Have you ever eaten breakfast?
Oh yeah.
So you've
I've
had
eaten
breakfast.
breakfast
You have experienced the wondrously fantastical experience that is breakfast.
Well, yeah, it's a full English breakfast. It's the only option. Anyway.
Wow. Man, I never miss breakfast unless I can. Okay. Did you want to do screen share? Yeah, let's do screen share.
Yeah, go for it.
Congratulations, we're friends. Add me on Discord, please.
Oh, I'm
Welcome back.
welcome. Now to pause.
Okay. So, why did you submit this clip for review?
Because this is in the middle of a 7-game loss streak.
Those are rookie
See,
numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Yeah,
bud.
I know. I made the mistake of playing ranked in the last few days, and this is yesterday, last night.
You actually, oof.
Yeah, I know.
Playing
Bad idea.
ranked in
Bad
the
idea.
last 7 days. Ooh, that's
Yeah, lost 250 SR, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So loss streak, yes, but why this specific game out of all the other losses? Why this one?
It was the smallest size of a recording, so it took the least time to upload.
Well,
when I got home
I'm
from
sure
work.
there's other reasons than that.
Not really. I've got quite a few. I could.
This is the only
but-
one that you weren't being a little toxic shithead and flaming your teammates, right?
Nah, kind of. I still flame my
kinda.
teammates even on recording.
You still flame your teammates. Oh man, I'm excited for this. So
Nah. There's a little argument at the end.
there's a little argument. Okay. So you're a
Someone has a go at
DPS
me.
player. You've got Hanzo and Widow as your most played this season.
Yeah.
How often are you arguing over about playing DPS or not?
I'll flex willingly. I just insta-lock DPS normally. And people don't seem to complain because
All
DPS.
flex
If it's free
except I
DPS,
don't. What?
if it's free, I'll insta-lock, and then if by the time spawn comes, I'll change if we need to. But most of the time, I will power other people and may change before me.
Oh, so it's the people who are kind and ask you to swap who get told to fuck off. But if they also insta-lock, you'll switch off.
I won't.
I'm
I won't
just
tell- I won't
fucking
tell
with
them
you.
to
I'm
fuck
just
off.
fucking with you, bud.
I
Okay.
know, I know.
So, what are you primarily? What is your peak SR?
3940.
You haven't hit 3940. Does that sting a
Let me
little?
check. I don't mind.
You don't mind? You sure you don't mind never touching GM?
I mean, it's my first season at like Masters anyway, so.
Oh, really? First season in
Yeah.
Masters, and you're already at 3940. Fuck. Who am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I to throw shade? It took me 3 seasons to get out of Masters. So, well,
So. Right.
2 seasons in Masters, 3rd season hit GM. So, still doing better than me. Let's.
What was my-
Is there anything specific you
my-
want me to focus on?
3941. I'm sorry.
Oh, you better come with the facts when you're on this stream.
I know.
What is,
Anything particular? I think this is just in the middle of a loss streak, so it's kind of I'm playing bad because I'm kind of tilted. My last game, someone didn't join voice. I'm fairly certain it was voice banned, and then called me a useless piece of shit afterwards. Even though I'd been shot calling the whole game, so that was fun.
Doesn't necessarily
Only
make
one
him
on
wrong,
comms.
though.
It doesn't, but I was playing Farah, so we were talking with a Mercy, talking with a Reinhardt, coordinating plays. I've got that one recorded as well, so I could send that. But it's just someone who doesn't know what we're talking about, I guess. So I'm pretty tilted after this one.
Okay.
But
Well, let's take a look at it and see how you do.
Just don't get triggered so easy.
Triggered read.
Let's do this, guys.
Yeah, let's play the game, man. They have a diva. Lol.
Watch out, the Widow.
I've also got a bad habit of crouching after every single shot.
It doesn't really. It doesn't do anything hugely negative to you.
No, it's just one of those things I do, I think.
Like if you're dueling against another character that can headshot you, it might actually be beneficial.
A Reaper
Yeah,
behind us.
occasionally.
On the high ground behind us. He's gonna jump on us and try and kill us.
Hey, shield going down soon. Shield going down. Reaper.
I am fucked up.
I didn't actually see what your second DPS is in this composition. Who's your second?
May.
May.
Yep, the Widow swapped off to healer.
You're playing May Hanzo.
Yep.
Gross.
Yeah. Touch point.
I need heal.
We needed to touch point.
So there's kind of
That's an overextending.
well, it's not like overextension. Overextension is kind of different. It's overextending is where you kind of like pursue a target farther than you should. This is more like trying to contest, but the decision about whether or not you actually should contest is the decision that matters there. And the key thing here is that you don't want to die and then have it capped while you're dead, because then you're going to get split off from the rest of your team. So it probably, yeah. So like if you're a tank and you've got a healer to support you, then you can recontest here. But even if your team was kind of like respawning or whatnot, the rest of your team is alive here. Nobody else is dead. So if you had like waited with your team and then had a tank contest once you'd stabilized at like 99% here, that would have been better. Or you could have just kept charging your ult by backing out into like towards bookstore. So both of those would have been better than just suiciding onto the point. Also, just a general thing, if you are playing sniper like this, normally, like look at them here. They've got a Widowmaker and a Reaper, and you want your DPS to be playing in like 90% of situations, not even 99. In like 90% of situations, you want your DPS to be playing in different ways or covering different aspects of the, like whether it's map control or sight lines or pressure, flanking. You want them to be doing different things here. Now, your May is not going to be able to flank because that's dumb.
Yeah.
But so the May is going to be basically, I assume, on the front line trying to just fuck with tanks, walls to split teams or not and whatnot like that.
Split, charge, that kind of thing. Yeah.
But especially since you do have the verticality, you want to be taking angles, top windows, high ground. Especially with them having a Reinhardt there. Now, you don't want to go too far because they do have a diva who can chase you down there. But always just be, especially if you're playing sniper, whether it's Widow or Hanzo, it doesn't matter. Especially if you have one DPS who is going to be staying with your team or is best suited staying with the team, try and find either different angles or different ways to pressure the opponents, whether it's kind of like, you know, you probably don't want to duel the Widow unless you can kind of like close the distance or catch them by surprise. But
the long range duel Widow should win every time.
Yeah, even kind of like threatening Hotel, because you have Sonic, so you have advantage when there's walls involved. Anything that can pressure the opponent in more ways than just linear. And like linear fights are pretty bad when you have two DPS like this. And then your Mercy goes for a res.
Yeah.
I'm very glad she died anyway.
Damn.
No, dude, May is fragging, it's fine.
May's fragging, we might be able to get this.
Go, May.
Just go touch.
So yeah, if you hadn't suicide, you could have been there assisting the May and, you know, maybe prevent this from actually getting capped in the first place.
Let's go back.
So
Yeah, go back.
yeah, this kind of like position you're in right now is a pretty good place to be. Another one is that you can always kind of like predict where a Widowmaker is going to take position. So if you want it to be like a real dick here, one of the things you could do is you know that the Widow is going to grapple somewhere. So if you were like worried about the hallway or something, you can try and take that position. So let's this is going to be a bit of a more theoretical discussion, but I feel like you're the kind of person who plays a DPS and then kind of like plays them with the team and shoots at the red people when they see them. So let's say there's a hallway like this, right? So this is the bridge, and this is the window where the Widow can grapple up and the Hanzo can be here. So
I should be either on my far right, so...
Yeah, we'll just draw the rest of the street. So the rest of the street kind of looks like this, where there's the Mega here and the Mini here and whatnot. So when we talk about establishing map control or space or anything like this, this is high ground. So I'll just like... If a Widowmaker takes this space here, it gives her this much map control, right?
Yeah.
But a Widowmaker can't take that space if a Hanzo is here.
I'm sat there.
If you're here, you're controlling this space here. And the thing is that until this space is actually claimed, anyone can go there very easily. You just wall climb, and the Widowmaker just grapples.
So I should have wall climbed up or flanked far right and up that angle.
Yes, and it's not just because this position is useful to you. It's because this position also completely denies it to the opponent.
It's more useful to them, that meaning it's useful to me.
Yeah, so if a Hanzo is here, a Widow can't take it as easily without fighting you. And if a Widow is here, you can't take it because the Widow won't let you approach the window in open territory.
Yeah.
So snipers, you need to be caring a lot more about map control as well as sight lines. So this sight line, they're going to have to somehow get you out of there, or else this entire area is something that you can test as Hanzo. So it's just things to think about, is that if you had denied this would have also denied this high ground to the Widow. But because the Widow because this space was basically uncontested, the Widowmaker could take this space uncontested, and this gives her sight lines farther into the second part of streets.
I mean, she can basically just kind of snowball it.
Yeah, so your positioning, at least on snipers so far, your positioning is by far the thing that you need to work on the most.
Yeah.
Guys, listen. He's one.
Nice shot.
Nice.
Nice pick. Watch out, Widow.
D on high.
Alright, I'm going to recharge.
Okay, so this is a bit of a whiff, but I make it up. We don't want to talk about this bit. Don't talk about this bit. Okay, we can talk about it again now.
Wait, tanks, don't be aggressive, you have no heals yet.
Not now. Please don't talk about this bit, and we're fine.
That's good. You won the duel. I don't care.
Re-from me.
What I care about is what where you position yourself after this duel is concluded.
No. Hey, no.
Which is not the high ground.
Where do you end up?
Okay,
Just
watch
stay
out
with
for
your
Widow.
tank core?
Yeah.
You were like...
Actually, no, I check the right side now.
Guys, get back.
I think I
Watch
call
out,
that I'm
Widow.
going to check it, and when I check it.
Yeah, Widow's top left.
Yeah.
But what does that actually serve? What purpose does that actually serve?
I thought the Widow would try and get a flank there, but...
But you could know
I
if
should
the
have just
Widow is
taken my
flanking there if you were just up there. And
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
could also be effective, because this little check here removed what little value you did have, so you have no value, and then you're checking an area that you could have not, so you kind of checked an area, but only checked part of the area where you could have actually been physically controlling that entire area. And especially with that high ground window control, even if the diva does force you out of that, she's going to have to use a cooldown to do it. You can either get Harmony or the Mercy can pocket you, and then you can just burn the diva. Even a solo diva up there, when you've got the position for the healer to kind of exist.
Especially if you've got a Zen, actually.
Yeah, especially if you've got a Zen. So you're giving the opponent way too much space. You're just allowing them to take map control without forcing them to fight for it. Even if you lose map control, that's fine, because they had to invest time, cooldowns, resources into taking that space from you, which they can use that space to attack the payload here.
I actually think I know why I was playing with the team. It's because the Reaper was flanking the supports.
You've got a diva on your team, don't you?
Yeah?
Solo Reaper versus two supports and a diva, it's not your job.
Isn't going to help. I can tell you they die a lot this game.
Still not your job, though. The benefit that you gain from trying to assist the supports in not dying to a Reaper when there's already 3 units, I consider people units, when there's already 3 units of resources invested to have your supports not die. If you make it 4, you've effectively made it. This is not a great argument, but 4 to 1. So it's a 1v4, and the Reaper, all he has to do is not die and just waste your time and force you to put your attention here.
Waste our time whilst we're Reinhardt
And then you
pushes
have
main,
so few resources invested into the actual front line, into map control, into actually killing. Whereas if the Reaper, think about it the other way. What if you put yourself in a position where you were killing the supports or at least threatening the supports? And then
the Reaper would have to peel back or die.
Yeah. So think about it the other way. If you were doing such a great job on Hanzo that they needed to invest more resources to keep their backline alive, that would give you a dramatic advantage. So don't give the opponent the same advantage, especially on a character like Hanzo, babysitting your supports. If you do want to do that, get a different character, like McCree.
Yeah. Just ulting main, fuck it.
Just ulting main, fuck it. You know what? I'm fine with that.
We have no Zarya. I swap after this as well.
Nice res.
I'm dead anyway.
Cool.
Same.
You swap to Widow next?
Yes. Yeah.
Why Widow?
We have no Ryan Zarya, so the point of going Hanzo's lessened. They've got Widow, so wanted to contest because people were complaining about them. But
Stay careful. Don't feed. We'll be good.
and I'd say Widow is more my comfort pick than Hanzo.
Feed, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's why I said come back or die on point.
Run half.
Audio delay?
A Reaper.
There's a slight audio delay.
Wait for me, wait for me. Alright, let's go aggressive.
He's ulting, he's not gonna ult. He's one.
Oh, you got grappled. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's just some unluckers.
Clean up.
Nice.
Top,
The one thing you definitely want to be doing on Widow is
leave it.
I'm not actually listening to the comms. Are you talking to your team at all about where the opposing Widow is?
Yeah. I'm constantly asking where she is.
Okay, so good. I wasn't paying
She's
attention to
better.
the comms.
She's better than me, so I have to ask.
What's going on in chat here? Wuja saying, "Can this guy shut up and listen?" That's rude, Wuja.
Aw, chat's already raging at me.
I'm not sure if he's raging at you or me though.
Um,
Somebody added him. Is this the first time watching you? I'm actually in the game. You are? What? Well, welcome, Toplo. Who are you? Who are you in this game? Oh,
he's
Toplo.
the run-up.
Amusing. Toplo is actually in the chat right now. Hello, friend. Guy keeps interrupting Jayne. That's fine. He's answering back. I don't think he's interrupting me.
I kind of am. It is a problem I have.
Well, it's not bothering me. So if you do have any information to interject, feel free.
Leave her.
Yeah,
Don't kill her. Don't kill her.
We can wall her off and freeze her. We can freeze her and all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We can literally fucking destroy her. Now we freeze her. Now we kill her again.
Literally
She's speedy.
fucking
Yeah.
destroy her.
Now we
Well, how nice of her to feed you a ton of ult
Masters, by
charge.
the way.
Also, you
Yeah, I know.
That's toxic. Was that you? No, that was your Mercy who said Masters, by the way. Amusing. However, as amusing as that is, again, you're just kind of like on the payload, and their Widow could have...
Respawned, headshot me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have other concerns.
You know what he's saying.
Easy clap.
Good job.
I mean, he might have been right in the fact that the only way to actually get killed was to remech.
Yeah, maybe
With a
right.
grappling top left, maybe. I heard the grapple. Careful, Zen. That's a yikes from me, dog.
I think I called that out and then he got deleted.
Yeah, that's a yikes from me, dog. That's funny.
I think
But
big.
again, you seem to be mechanically skilled enough when you're not trying to Stormbow at Mercy. But you're like, so when we talk about, especially about snipers, there's shots that are easy to hit, and there's shots that are hard to hit. And those depend on a lot of factors, on positioning, on your movement, on the opposing movement, who has which assistance from which teammates and whatnot. But you're sitting so far back that it's kind of like you're not threatening the opponent. There's so few sight lines available to you that you're just not getting value out of these Widowmaker picks or the sniper picks at all. I'd like to see much, much more aggressive positioning so that instead of reacting to the opponent, instead of like an opponent arriving like this diva and you reacting to this diva and fighting her, you force the
she has
opponent to react
me.
to you.
Yeah.
That's much more powerful. It forces them into invest a lot of other resources, including attention, onto trying to find out where you are and react to where you are. And it's always going to
Force
be more...
people to take fights they don't want to.
Yeah, it's always going to be more efficient if you can force the opponent to react to you, because the reactions are always less efficient than the initial plans.
Big, D.Va behind.
Oh,
D.Va
Jesus,
behind.
huge.
D.Va subway, one.
Oh, I got the lead.
Their
They're
Diva's
very,
actually
very
boosted, though.
Reaper,
Dog of me.
Champagne.
I have no idea what she's attempting to
Use some
accomplish.
dice.
The enemy Widow, however, really good. So both DPS on the opposing team are pretty decent. Their Widow, you see how the Widow's getting information, you know, pushing you, catching you off by like
Third
grapples.
point team, you know?
She's not a very flanky Widow, but she's definitely more
Yeah, easy,
aggressive.
Yeah. I'd say probably
Nice.
better skills than me as well.
Reaper dropping. I missed the shot.
Sorry, what did you say?
I'd say probably better mechanical skill as well.
No. She's acting in a way that makes her mechanical skill able to actually be shown, I suppose. The
Yeah,
difference
okay.
in terms of like actual mechanics at the higher level is really not that much. You have like people, if you ever go into like Widowmaker customs and whatnot, occasionally you'll just get fucking destroyed by a Widowmaker and be like, God damn, this guy's gotta be 2,500 or like 4,500 or something like that. You check his profile and he's like gold. There are
Yeah,
people-
no, actually that happened yesterday.
yeah, it happens a lot. There are extremely mechanically skilled individuals at lower ranks, and the like, it's so many people
think-
just like mindlessly grind aim.
I think
They're like,
my
if I
exact
had
quote to
better
him-
aim, I could do this. If I had better aim, I could do this. If I could hit that headshot, I could do it. And they don't put any effort into trying to position
Get better at positioning.
themselves so that the shots themselves are easier to hit, or that they
Yeah.
have more shots to take. They give themselves more opportunities to hit those shots. And I think you're very much the same way. Yeah, your aim could be improved. Everybody's aim could be improved.
Yeah,
But I think your primary focus needs to be on making the shots easier to hit and giving yourself more opportunities to hit the shots.
Reaper half,
Reaper,
Reaper half,
Reaper,
Reaper no
Reaper.
fade, Reaper no fade, Reaper no fade.
Let's get Reaper. Let's get Reaper.
No, you can't chase him. He's
can't,
got the health back.
so
He's got the health
scary.
back.
He's one.
Don't
He's
chase.
one.
I took high ground, chat. I did it.
It's
I
possible.
missed the Reaper on my left.
One.
Yeah.
I missed the Reaper on my left.
Run. I'm bad.
Yeah, right.
Reaper top. You can't really do much.
They're using
He's
all
gonna
of us.
drop. Reaper mercy top. Reaper mercy top.
I think I'm.
Doesn't have
I
his
do
Calling
really
that
like your
out.
comms, though. Like, your comms are good. You're warning your team.
Ah, fuck! I hit the Zen instead of a Widow. Widow main.
Just
Widow main.
come back.
Hey,
come
rest
back.
me.
Did I just shoot the Zane in front of a Widow? Unlucky.
Yeah, you missed. But again, if we're talking about your positioning, again, because you've decided to position on this back right high ground instead of the front left high ground, you gave that position to the opponent, right? They took it, and then they took the space underneath the high ground, and then the Widowmaker used that to kill you.
Yeah.
So you just like, here's all this map. I'm not
Have it for
using
free.
it. Have it for free.
Widow taking aggressive grapple. D.Va on top of me.
Yeah.
Genji, he's one. He's actually one, Genji.
Ryan headshot.
Just come back. Everyone come back. No, come back. Come back.
Hold shield.
Diva.
Come back.
We'll
Okay, now good.
do you want to talk about your infrasight?
Hold shield. Widow top.
I guess I kind of used it because we were
Yeah,
pushing
yeah,
in,
damn each other.
but I probably shouldn't have because their Widow's attacking, so they're gonna have a much more a much bigger advantage of theirs. So I should use it reactively instead.
Yeah, so there's two primary ways that I like to recommend. You did it. Okay, so there's two.
Yeah.
There's two main ways that I usually recommend to people to start out with using their infrasight. The first one is that if the opponent has a lot of flankers or whatnot, so if they have somebody who's giving you guys trouble with his flanks, like Reaper. So if you use your infrasight at the start of a fight when they are going to push in, it gives you perfect information on the opponent's attack so that you can react to it earlier and then nobody's going to catch you by surprise. So if the opponent has people who like flanking, whether it's a Tracer, a Genji, a teleporting Reaper, a Monkey, if you're playing against Giannis or something like that, infrasight will give you perfect intel on an opponent's attack and allow you to react for it way earlier. The other thing is that if you are losing the Widowmaker duel, infrasight can either give you an advantage in the duel or remove the opponent's advantage in the duel. Okay. Especially if you activate it second, it'll give you an advantage at the end of it. So
yeah, the Nixel strat.
The Nixel strat. Yeah. So if the opponent pops sights and you know where they are and they know where you are, you pop sights in return, and then now they have to respect you. But just using sights like this is basically throwing away any power or value that it had for you.
Watch out. They go shatter.
Blade.
He's gonna shadow you. He's gonna shadow. Nice, dude. Look.
Mercy,
Holy
mercy,
shit.
mercy,
Develop
point,
the
mercy,
make on
point.
top.
I also think you're a
Nice,
little bit
nice,
too
nice.
impatient, like especially with that Reaper. The Reaper, you took so many partially charged shots instead of just making sure that you hit the one shot that matter. So
Let's
Yeah.
group up.
I think just a little bit
Yeah,
more
Ryan's like 2 bars.
patience.
Zen half. Zen
And I
half,
do
Zen
like,
half, Zen
like
half.
well,
Leave
I
behind.
do, I like your aim technique, other than being so impatient. So, do you feel like stressed or anxious when you get into 1v1s with other DPS players?
I don't know.
Like pressured, or is it just because you're recording, you wanted to, look good on the recording?
I don't know. I mean, I've been recording for like 2 games before this as well, so it's not that it's recording because I know I'd been recording. I kind of got used to it by that time.
Yeah, because some people
But-
do play completely differently when they try and record a VOD or when they stream.
When I scrim with my team, I always record, so that's not a problem there.
Okay, that's good.
So every single time is recorded, unless when I forget to press record because I'm an ape.
So
But,
you don't have any like ladder anxiety or anything? You're not stressed, or like you don't panic when you get into 1v1s or duels or anything like that?
Not normally. I might have been kind of a bit because I've been. I think I'd lost 3 games before this one. So maybe, but not normally.
Okay. So I don't know. Like, I'll try and think if I can figure out any other reason why you'd be so impatient on these shots. But I do kind of like how your crosshair placement is. So you're the kind of person who puts your crosshair next to a target and then does smaller flicks onto the target, which is
Yeah.
a decent. You could refine it. So you're kind of like in the middle of 2 different sniper styles. You either place your Widow or you place your crosshair and then flick, or you kind of like track and then just do a small correction as you fire. And you're kind of like in between the two. So I think that if you put some like thought into how you like to aim and actually kind of like worked on one specific technique in a custom game, it may help your Widowmaker in particular.
I'm a lot more flicky, I think. Definitely.
Yeah, but there's like, it's how you set up before the flick. Because there's some people who are just like, there's a target, and just like swing their mouse across their screen and hit
Yeah,
the target.
swang, you're dead.
Then,
that's good.
Then there's some people who will place their, like they will basically do a corrective flick where they put their crosshair close to the target and then not move the crosshair until they see an opportunity, and then like do a smaller distance flick. There's people,
microflicks.
there's people who will track closer to the target and then do a small correction. And then,
I can't
then there's
track.
like the final kind of people who are crazy, who will like track, and once they're confirmed that their crosshair is on the target, they pull the trigger. And those guys don't really flick at all. So I'm just trying.
Those guys just don't miss though.
Well, it also is way slower.
Yeah.
It's way slower.
Behind, half.
Back,
Reaper no fade, Reaper no fade. Reaper no fade, left side. Zen
I'm
one,
sorry,
Zen one.
Saris with the $1 says, what you're saying is that he will benefit more with going more aggressive and risking dying than playing passive and potentially having no impact on the fight? With all DPS or just snipers? For most DPS, yes. For most DPS.
Why do I pop sights here? I'm stupid.
Wow, it happens. So what you're saying is that he'll benefit more with being aggressive and risking dying. Like, I want to say just yes straight out, but before I say that, I'm just going to like think through any of the counter arguments. I definitely... I prefer much more aggressive DPS. Much more aggressive DPS. And
I think, is he trying to get at the point that if you go aggressive and trade, or go 2 versus 1, you're kind of better off than just dying and not getting any yet?
like he's saying that you should be putting yourself in the position of risking death, basically, and that's better than playing passive, making sure that you won't die, but then potentially have no impact on the fight. And if we're talking about,
I would say yes on attack, no on defense.
you like on defense for like 2 CP or kind of like the first point of hybrid, maybe. But in terms of especially like control and whatnot, I think that you definitely want to be more aggressive. But the idea is that you want to be more aggressive in ways that you don't really risk death, especially if we're thinking about Junkertown. Junkertown's the perfect example, right? So let's actually jump into game, because this is a great question. So yes, being more aggressive will risk your death than just kind of like sitting in the spawn. You know, sitting in the spawn, 0 chance of death, also 0 impact on the fight.
Yeah.
But you want to be like aggressive positioning doesn't mean that you have to be. Why do I have to agree to the Blizzard EULA again?
Have they updated it
This is
yesterday?
a very tough question. This is a very tough question to phrase in a way that is going to make sense to people. I think the easiest way to put it is that there are ways that you can safely play aggressive that do not involve being with your team. So on Junkertown, your account got a suspended.
Yeah.
Rip. So Junkertown is the perfect example of this. Swap to not spectators. Swap to not blue team. Swap to red team. Swap to red team. Settings. Maps.
It's entirely black for me. I'll turn
Yeah,
stream
you'll
back
have to
on.
look at this on the stream.
Welcome to Junkertown.
Okay.
Chat, I'm not pine flanking. I'll just get me killed.
So this is going to be a question for you. So you're kind of... Oh, it's Tapman. Hello. So your style of Widowmaker vary with the team. If you were on attack, you'd be playing with your Orisa behind her like this. You'd just kind of like be pushing forward with your team. And on defense, you'd probably be taking this angle with your team. At least that's kind of like what I'm seeing on King's Row.
Not normally, actually. I don't know. I think it's a difference between playing... I don't play ranked as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And with scrims, I'll just go on mad flanks because I know my healers will actually like come with me. My tanks know where I am.
So in scrims, you will flank.
Yeah, in scrims, I'll probably grapple left side on Junkertown or take the front high ground at right.
Sorry,
So,
which
yeah,
which
that
position on the front right? Like this position
That
here?
one.
So
Yeah.
this position is good. Anytime, even getting a high ground, because high ground can be considered a different angle because you can shoot over top of shields and certain pieces of cover. But a couple like the other really neat flanks on Junkertown, you can use this railing to stand on, and then you can kind of... Because most people will hide behind that wall on that piece of high ground.
Yes.
So
No, I do that.
standing on this piece of high ground will be good. And then there's also... Zerg did this to me in a ranked match, and I fucking lost my shit. Shooting through this pipe.
That one. Yep.
I hate this flank so much. This is a much more
It's
aggressive
actually
position.
so...
Yep.
It's stupid because you can't really die because the hitbox on the other side is stupid.
Mm-hmm. And then there's this piece. You can stand here and kind of shoot down here where you're in safety. And then finally, if you're being way more aggressive, you can stand even in these positions and see all this window. Now, if the opponent has a Widow, none of these sightlines are ever going to be like perfectly safe. But this removes a lot of territory where the opponent can sit safely. And again, you have your grapple, so you can always use it to escape whenever you want to. So, especially on Widowmaker, you know, Hanzo, he's got his lunge and his wall climb to escape. And Widowmaker is actually, you know, she can go a lot farther with her grapple, but Hanzo also has different kind of options, and not his wall climb specifically is not tied to a cooldown. So I just want you to be a lot more aggressive, but it's not in the way that you're actually really risking being eliminated any more than somebody just being involved in the fight would be anyway.
Yeah, any more than a normal flanker would be.
Yeah. So just
if you're gonna die, it's gonna be to a Roadhog hook or something like that.
Yes, ideally the perfect position where you're the safest the number one spot you're going to be the safest is going to be in the spawn room. The number two spot you're going to be the safest is going to be right between your Reinhardt, your D.Va, and your supports. Okay, but your Reinhardt, your D.Va, and your supports, even without you there, are controlling that space. And as a Widowmaker, for example, you're not going to assist in actually controlling that space or preventing the opponent from taking that space. As a sniper, if you were like a Junkrat or something like that, then maybe, because you can apply a shit ton of damage to the tanks and want to, you know, be area denial. But as a Widowmaker, you want to do it in other ways, controlling space and sight lines. So try and focus on that a lot more in your actual games.
Relying on my mechanical skill a bit more than I should, and just kind of forgetting about
and
positioning.
you're not giving yourself any opportunity to show anybody else that you actually have decent mechanical skill.
Yeah, exactly.
Heals, I need heals still.
I couldn't stay with
So
you.
for all chat knows, I could be
I
lying.
said come back.
Like, if you were positioned on this other high ground, on the left high ground, you still have grapple. If you get pushed, you can grapple to the other high ground. Parallel high grounds on Widow are a pain in the fucking ass for anyone to deal with. Because if you push Widow on one high ground, she just grapples the other. The end of
And then
Dorado
you push her
second,
again, and you go back.
fuck the end of Dorado second. Those two high grounds, attackers basically have to choose to contest one of them. But then if they use mobilities to move to the second one, then they can go to the other one. And, like, they can constantly just swap like parallel high grounds. If any area that there's a parallel high ground for a Widowmaker is just so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, because you push one, you
Hey,
jump
go
back,
for
and then
second,
they've got cooldowns back before.
You know, so you have this gigantic
Let's go back,
advantage
go back,
available
go
to
back,
you,
go back.
and
Widow main now.
you're just not taking it. You're not taking the
Careful.
advantage.
Widow's playing around the corner.
Yeah.
Widow's not a problem. It's a combo over Reaper. Widow.
Reaper
Touch point,
dead,
touch
Reaper
point,
dead.
touch point. Unlucky, unlucky. Where's Widow? Where's
Oh,
Widow?
what, you
Where's
have it
Widow?
again?
Widow at back. Zen 1, Zen dead. Widow at back, push peeking Widow. Widow half. Touch.
Did that Reaper just whiff like 900 times on you?
Mercy half.
Yeah, I
Mercy,
think so.
mercy, only mercy.
No, it's unlucky. We got a minute 10. That's
I
good.
still have silver.
Okay. At the end there, because it was just kind of like be snowballing, there's not a lot to talk about at the end there because you lost the duel. The enemy Widow hook shot you. They knew where you were. The enemy Widow had information on you. You didn't react to it. She saw it, bop, and then things just snowballed. Okay. Saris with a follow-up says, okay, so I asked because I play very passively and reactively, but I realized while watching you talk that the flanks I sometimes go on usually pans out because they're safe flanks. Should I do riskier flanks if the enemy gets a pick or is winning? One of the things that we talk about is that the level of your mechanics determines the most aggressive positioning and playstyle you can be in. People with really good mechanics can get away with much more aggressive playstyles and aggressive positioning and still be alive or come out on top. So I'd say how aggressive you can be is how capable and confident you are in your own mechanics. But yeah, as risky and as aggressive as a flank as you can pull off with your current level of mechanics is how risky and how aggressive you should play. Centaur with the $2 says, hi, Jayne, I have a question. Is it worth next season doing placements and then waiting a few days to play comp? Because I feel every time I play after placements, I'm playing with people who got lucky in their placements and don't deserve being that rank. Anytime somebody makes a statement like this, my question is, my answer is always going to be the same way. You should only really care about yourself. There's always going to be people who are boosted or tilted or playing differently. Rank is a very fluid concept. People can be up 400 SR from where they belong, then people can be down 400 SR from where they belong. Just focus on yourself and play. So even if you do get those people on your team, that game isn't going to make you a mechanically worse player or a dumber player overall. It's still good practice. So yeah, just focus on yourself. Soul here with the 200 bits says, in my opinion, the difference between a high-ranked Widow is how they create more opportunities for themselves to get more easy shots and don't miss 90% of these good position shots. Yes, I agree. Obviously, please correct me if you think that's flawed. I've been missing a lot of these easy shots lately. Do I only need to work on raw aim at this moment or something else? If you're missing easy shots, yes, you need to work on your aim. So if you've set yourself up for these easy shots and you're still missing them or missing them, every more than like once in a blue moon or something like that. But yeah, if the shot is easy to hit, you should hit it every time. Coral Grimes with 100 bits says, since we're on King's Row, did you see that Giannis flank from under the horseshoe against Fuel? I did see that, yes. Soul Healer, 100 bits. What do you do if you do get anxiety in comp games and it affects your performance? So I'm not a doctor in any way, so I can't recommend anything like medically sound or anything like that. But what I did to get over the stress of like 1v1ing people is I just 1v1'd people constantly in deathmatch. So if you do kind of like panic or struggle with playing DPS whenever you get into a 1v1 matchup with an opponent, play deathmatch until that panic or that because really the anxiety or the panic comes from being required to perform without the experience. But if you have that experience and you're just so accustomed to those situations, there's no reason for you to react emotionally to that situation. So just put yourself in that situation over and over until you've become desensitized to it. Oh, you play Genji on attack here, or when do you actually swap off to Genji
We
McCree?
should run Genji Widow together.
I think it's like, I don't know, I put it in my message. I think
have
it's
damage or
15 minutes, something like that. So.
Sinatra is banned too, DMCA as well.
Yeah, I know, but it's not that simple. He's not going to do that.
Maybe I should take a closer
It'll
look
be
at the
better if you have a
DMCA
Hanzo,
rules on
'cause
Twitch.
Then the shield breaks, isn't he?
I mean, just have some faith, my dude.
Oh, you're talking about
You
the
know,
new
then a
ranked
shield
pugs
will
that we're not
break
actually running yet.
before theirs.
Yeah. Not yet on those
We
ones.
don't really need the shield if we get picks. We're just going for picks.
What is probably the best character for
Yeah,
newbie in the
but
game?
that's
Soldier.
high pressure.
Soldier. Soldier is the
What do we
best
got
newbie
the
character.
mid
Soldier
side
is the
one
best
too?
all-around character. It teaches you position. It teaches you cooldown usage. It teaches you animation cancels. It teaches you projectile aim. It teaches you hit scan aim. There are so many great things to learn on Soldier. I just wish that everyone had to put in like at least like 5 hours of Soldier in the game before they could move on to other characters. Soldier is such a great all-round hero. He's got mobility so he can take high grounds. He's benefited by the high grounds. He's got a healing station, which makes him a lot more forgiving and also starts teaching you a little about teamwork. I think Soldier is a fantastic character. I think everyone should just grind Soldier, at least for a couple hours.
Probably Decay.
Soldier's boring if you play him that way. Soldier is as exciting as you make him. Go on flanks, be on high grounds. Nobody can push you because your mobility isn't tied to a cooldown. Like if you get, caught up by like a Doomfist or somebody who can lock your movement, or you get CC'd, sure, but yeah.
He's also got a literal aimbot. Come on.
Yeah. So, can you play Soldier in this meta? He's not meta, and if the opponent has an equally skilled sniper as you are skilled on Soldier, you will struggle. But I'm mostly talking about new people, right? I'm mostly talking about new people. Because the guy's level 20. Who gives the
Soldier's
remotest of a
perfectly
fuck
viable in
at
quick
level
play.
20? Understand that you're weak against snipers. That's a good thing to understand when you play Soldier, and play accordingly. But yeah,
He's going to be playing quick play, so there's going to be double sniper in every game.
this is true.
He's a Hanzo main too.
Meaning it's probably Decay.
I tried asking a question if you feel comp is actually good practice. I remember Calvin saying it's not good practice. It's practice, not the greatest practice. If you actually want to get better at the game, join a team, start scrimming, ring for other teams, play in tournaments. Like ranked is a form of practice. Is it the best or the most optimal? No. Hey, Shane. Good to see you. How's my favorite washed Reinhardt player doing today?
Reaper behind, Reaper
Oh,
behind.
Reaper behind.
Reaper behind.
Ah, shit. It's kind of my fault, kind of my fault.
Aggressive.
There's two.
We need someone. to
Widow's
do
going for a
that.
big flank.
The
Fuck.
Mercury, I think.
That was Discord. Just back off, back off, back off.
I knew the grapple was coming in, so I just had to AD
That's my bad.
until I
Widow's
hopefully
playing like a
survived.
fucking
Mhm.
bot. Why is she grappling so much? Okay.
Yeah, I just got fucking deleted.
Talk shit, get hit.
Reaper behind again.
That was...
Reaper on our tanks.
Wow!
I'm one.
Yeah, I know.
Wow!
I just got fucking demolished.
Wow, this guy's good.
Hasn't got the aim like one.
Reaper behind again.
Almost as good as Neck. What?
Almost.
On the.
I haven't actually watched this at 2.5.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
And that's hitting the hard shots.
I don't know where
That
she
was
is.
not an easy shot.
Right side. At the bottom, right side.
That should have been most time when I swapped off Widow, probably.
Nice.
Nice.
Again, you're also
One
like
body
still
shot,
playing with
one
your
body
team,
shot right now.
and like, I think it's one of our quotes, isn't it? Like, fear is the mind killer. So, I think you're using the excuse that you were trying to protect your supports against the Reaper, because you're not really scouting for that Reaper to help your supports. I think you're playing with your team just because you're scared of the opposing Widow. And if you let fear
that's
dictate your
accurate.
positioning, you've already lost.
Yeah.
You,
Okay.
If they are a better Widow than you, the best thing that you can do is try and force them to pay attention to you. Never take the duel because you'll lose it. And then try and get support or get value onto the supports or tanks. But always be a constant threat. But if you're gone, if you take the duel and lose or position yourself in a way that you're not paying attention to her and then she forces the duel and wins or surprises you and wins, then she doesn't even have to worry about your existence and is just free firing on the rest of your team. So it's way more important if you are going against a superior Widow. If you can't take the duel, don't take the duel. Position ways that you can threaten if she doesn't pay attention to you. Try and apply pressure to the supports and tanks as much. And if she does stop paying attention to you, then take her in the head when she's not looking.
And we got shafted.
Just click heads.
Just click heads.
Big, holy shit.
Wait, is that?
Reaper's teleporting, Reaper's teleporting top. Reaper's gonna drop top, drop. She's gonna drop.
Yeah, watch
She's
out,
gonna
top,
drop 50.
top.
He's
You
dropped
could
left, right
grapple
side.
onto the
Drop
top
right,
right
he's
to get a
one,
better
he's
angle.
dead. Well done.
Nice.
Big. Where's Widow? Where's Widow?
Widow, we're not there. Widow.
Mercy one. Mercy.
Going for a
Discord.
aggressive. Nice, big,
I
big,
like
big,
this.
big
See,
Discord.
finally you're grappling onto the high ground, gives you way better sight lines.
I'm shielding now off, shielding off.
I feel like you have model details
Fine,
too high.
fine.
There's so much foliage.
I'm on
Nice.
everything low, 75%.
Really?
It's gonna fade onto me.
Yeah.
Reaper's
I don't
top window.
I don't remember the trees being
Might drop,
blocking
might
so much
drop, I don't
vision.
know.
Do they?
I
always?
might have my foliage on high. I
Now.
don't know.
Fuck.
Wow, sunlight's just dominating you.
That peak.
Yeah,
The
I think
Reaper's
this is
up
where I
there.
swap.
Yeah, yeah.
Kinda get
Because
that
someone
one.
says
Not
swap, but
really.
I've already
I
swapped.
killed her twice, she's killed me 3 times.
Oh, they pop
Go
walls,
back,
that's
go
why.
I
back.
had walls that time, so they've got walls. Stop peeking.
Or do I get dumpstered one more time?
Stop peeking.
They don't have it now.
They do have walls. She has it for 13 seconds, and she got it for 4 more.
Hey,
Know your timings.
She's dropped out of top window. She's dropped out of top window. Careful. Careful.
So you should take that window. Like you're just so scared. You're
Recharging
playing.
shield?
You're playing so scared here.
I'm playing like a little bitch, and this is where I
I
change.
can't shatter, I can't shatter here.
Reaper hard,
Like
Reaper one.
when we're talking about, especially on Tracer, it happens on Tracers too. A lot of low rank Tracers will go like 1 meter to their target and be like trying to track at things that are like 3 feet in front of their face. Not even like a foot in front of their face. But the closer you are to a target, their strafe patterns or their just basic movement has larger on-screen motion. So you do want to be farther away because that makes the same actual like meter per second movements smaller on your screen and easier to hit. But you're trying to shoot people who are doing erratic movements from like 10 feet away while scoped in. Like
Yeah.
the shots that you're trying to hit are so hard.
Reaper one. Right chatter. Fuck. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Widow's bottom.
And if you do play Tracer, chat, recognize your optimal range. So most people, you want to be fighting things around, 5 to 7 meters away. 10 meters is where Tracer's fall off begins. So you want to be as far away as you can where your spread pattern, the most of your shots will still hit, but tracking is easy enough that you can still hit or still track your target. You don't need to
Wait
be
a
within
second.
like 1-2 meters away. You want to be about 5 to 7.
There's 2 people in chat saying they know the Sunlight guy and his main got banned for soft aim botting. What face?
There's quite a few people in chat who have been talking about knowing Sunlight.
Apparently, yeah, who knows?
Widow's bottom right. She's actually main now.
Doesn't look too fishy
Charge
for
me, charge
High
me.
Masters. But
Swing,
No.
swing, 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 right. Swing.
Doesn't look
There's a
anything
Reaper
that
behind.
crazy.
Well done, well done.
I think you're even. I think you're even.
Help us, Zarya. Help us, Zarya.
And like you can see that the Widow is doing things right: grapple shots, flank shots, high grounds. She's hitting these shots because she's giving herself the opportunity to hit those shots, and you're not. So
yeah,
her positioning and movement and repositioning is vastly superior to you. You know
Nice,
him
yeah,
IRL?
you don't-
Cool.
Nice. She's one dead. Dead, dead.
Nice. They have no healers, so we have spawns now. I have my ult.
That's a good fight.
Just slight twitch
Yeah,
for your
They
use of
used a lot, I
Infosight.
think.
The visor tells us exactly.
yeah.
Where they're going.
I think I mentioned it now,
It's fine.
and how it was a garbage infrasight,
No,
and
never
try and make excuses, but it was garbage.
Yeah, but I
So
wanted to see if
easy
we
shot,
could
you missed
find
that one.
she is.
A jumping Zarya
Side now.
should be a headshot every time.
There you go. Reaper's still left side. Reaper no fade. Left side. He's coming aggressive onto me. Reaper left side. Left side. Do not ignore him. Where's Widow? Where's Widow?
You do have good comms
The
though.
Reaper behind us. Nice, nice.
Need heals, need heals.
I'm bucking you as much as I can.
Being pocketed.
Do you play a lot of Widow? I feel like you
Zen.
don't know the
Widow left
charge
side,
times
Widow left
either.
side, back left alley, back left alley.
I think I'm panicking definitely,
Just swap Widow, please.
because normally I know the charge times, but
Do you play support?
kind of sometimes.
I feel like you'd be a really good support player.
I get angry when I see people playing like. I play support when I get angry because people just aren't doing the things which I think they should be doing. So I swap to DPS and do them,
Yeah, but there's no punishment.
and then get angry because I can't do them properly.
Widow flanking.
You've got great comms and good comms too. Like you're calling
It's
the
fine,
right
we don't
things.
have
You're doing
to.
information
shit,
calls.
not like that.
We're not
I
behind.
think you'd be a great
Wait,
support
what?
player, legitimately.
Oh fuck, I picked up.
It's not a block.
Just hard. I mean, I played a lot of Zen in season 4, I think. But
Go back,
that was a
go
bit of a
back.
waste.
Nice, nice. That was
I'm
nice.
dead here anyway. I should just die.
Wait for me. We've got combo.
You can get out too. Nice little 180 with
Push
a
up each other.
reflect.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Don't charge in, I don't. Zarya's not there.
You know, even on Genji, you're playing with your team still.
It's fine, they use
Yeah.
So definitely, like if
Have you
you were
got
kind of like a one-on-one that I had,
I think I hit this.
Go right, go right, go right.
Nice
Go
shot.
right, go right.
But if you were a one-on-one that I was working with consistently, one of the things that I would get you to constantly work on is learning how to operate independently. Like, you know, I'd get you to play Tracer, and I'd have you just constantly
Reaper right
live
side.
behind the enemy team.
I
Using,
can't play Tracer.
He's right.
yeah, whether it's Genji, like Tracer's just a good start one because Tracer can't be pushed. So I definitely think you need to learn to play independent of your team.
Ryan's high
No
ground
more.
behind.
No more. Kill him, Mercy, kill him.
You also got your dash reset, but didn't use it on the Zen.
I was tunneling, man. Yeah,
Reaper's respawning.
I was tunneling and didn't
Which
realize.
character do you main, or are you just like a super flex?
I'm not going to use until we use
I can show you my career profile if you want.
damage boost for fucking
Sure. Can you
Hanzo.
screenshot it and link it to me in DMs or something like that?
Yeah, we know how to play the game.
Because you've swapped to a lot of characters, but I'm gonna be honest, you don't seem
We have to
proficient
have,
on
like,
any of
three
them.
front right now, 'cause they're gonna be that front.
Left side, left side.
Yeah, that's
Not
I think
not
that's
to
fair.
the level that I would expect of a high master player.
Zarya CD.
Reaper use his shit.
I got shot.
Yeah,
here.
I'm fine, I'm shattered, I'm lucky.
Get ready, Hanzo. Hanzo, get ready.
He's dead, he's dead.
I'm going to blade up.
Heal me up, heal me up.
Reaper behind, Reaper on.
Fuck!
Reaper behind,
Oh,
Reaper
my
behind.
reflect didn't go off. Zen 1, Ryan, just stop.
Go, go, go!
Reaper mid.
Ryan, you need healing?
He healed, he healed.
Yeah, you went ahead.
That's
left
unfortunate.
Ryan, Reaper behind. Everyone killed everyone. That's unfortunate.
Did you link me your profile?
Yeah.
So, Widowmaker, Hanzo, Zenyatta, Zarya, Pharah, Doomfist, Reinhardt, Genji, McCree, Roadhog, Tracer. Can you link me in all competitive seasons one?
Yeah, no problem. Seasons. This is heavily diluted by season 2, I want to say. But
Pharah, McCree, Roadhog, Zenyatta, Genji, Widowmaker, Hanzo. So you do flex a lot. Now, what is your goal in playing Overwatch? Semi-pro, pro, casual, just want to be good at the game, want to hit Grandmaster? What do you want out of Overwatch?
I don't know at the moment. Like, I kind of want to have fun.
Why'd you start playing Overwatch? Fun game? Had friends? Got bored?
I started because I had a lot of friends who I saw it in open beta, and it came out on my birthday. So I was like, I really want to play that game. It looks really cool. Like, blah, blah, blah. Got it. My laptop couldn't run it. Was upset. Yeah, okay, it happens.
So you're just a casual gamer who wants to be good at the things they enjoy.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, obviously everyone wants to do pro stuff, but it's not going to happen. So like, I want to
And
get as good as I can.
It's good that you recognize that pro is not for you. That's a good thing to recognize.
But I feel like it's a lot of attitude, and if I get angry if people don't know what I know, because I seem to think I get in my head that it's basic.
Yeah,
you get what I
everybody
mean?
smarter than me is a genius or hacking. Everyone worse than me is a noob.
I don't like playing with people worse than me, because I start to expect things that I know I shouldn't, but still expect.
So you're at a crossroads here, really.
Yeah, like I recently left a team because I started doing things differently, and they're still like low diamond, and I'm realizing that I'm like doing things and I just don't communicate it, and I'm expecting them to do something to react it, because I'm seeing people in my comp games just do these things, and it's like, why aren't you doing this? It's fairly simple. But then I take a step back and realize, no, it's not simple. I'm just getting a bit better.
And not only that, you yourself on an individual could be doing a lot more and having much more impact.
Yeah.
So you are a bit of a crossroads here. You flex a lot, and if you want to improve in a short amount of time, you need to change your mentality and kind of who you play as well.
Yeah.
So I think you need to, if you want to reach Grandmaster, let alone top 500, I think you need to specialize just temporarily.
Yeah.
And learn everything about that kind of way of playing. Because we are in a double sniper meta, maybe you stick to Widowmaker or Hanzo.
Yeah.
But you need to learn you need to become proficient at something instead of being mediocre at everything. I see
Yeah.
I see like flashes of what I used to be because I used to flex and fill onto just whatever my team needed. I'd always pick last. I'd play that hero, which meant that I was a support main. But still,
Yeah.
I never really got good at any one hero. I never really recognized the various play styles. Like, what are 3 different kind of like Widowmaker play styles, and what are the situations in which you would switch between them? Hypothetical question. Don't bother answering it.
Okay.
But what I think you need to do is, especially if you do have, Widowmaker and Hanzo aim, specialize in Widowmaker and Hanzo. Look at some pros who play these heroes, their play styles, and then try and think to yourself, even if I'm playing with a group of literal bots, what could I do to win the game?
Yeah, I kind of think that I get bored of playing one hero, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, same. I'm the exact same way. That's why it's another reason I flex. I get bored
So
if I one
I'll
trick.
play Widow this season.
Yeah.
And then I probably won't touch her next season.
Okay.
Or I'll probably play Farah next season or something. Something about Farah kind of draws me. Always is
but
fun, but then you get dumped.
Just from watching the heroes that you're playing in this game, you're high masters here. This is like 3,800. If you run into a Widow one trick, you are going to be the inferior Widow. If you run into a
100%.
Hanzo specialist, you are going to be the inferior Hanzo. If you go against a Genji in a mirror matchup, you're going to be the inferior Genji. So if you want to make it to the next level, you need to actually get good at one of these heroes.
Can't believe you're promoting one tricking Jayne. Come on.
Name one person in the Overwatch League who plays outside of their role.
Yeah, no.
Like, people in Overwatch League are in Overwatch League for a role, not for a rainbow. If you want to be the best, you have to specialize.
Seagull. Thanks, chat.
Seagull doesn't play support.
Seagull plays off tank and DPS. Debatable. Kareev. Yeah.
And even
Thanks,
then,
chat.
he's mostly projectile. Like, there's nobody who is equally skilled on all heroes, and even those people will not be the best in class.
Taimu, thanks.
Kareev is
I don't think they
probably
wanna
the
talk about
best, but I don't think I've ever...
Kareev, yeah.
Has Kareev played much tank either? I feel like Kareev is support in DPS. I'm not sure if he does a lot of
Kareev
tank.
is supporting DPS, but
yeah,
I definitely get your point.
the vast majority of people in pro play are like projectile DPS. They're not just DPS, they're projectile DPS or flex support or off tank.
Yes.
So if you want to be the best, you do have to get really good at either one hero or one role. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
So that's up to you to decide whether that's too boring or if you actually care. Because if you are a casual player, it's completely up to you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions for me?
No.
None.
No. You're saying everything you're saying is perfectly right.
You sure? When I kick you off this
I
voice call,
feel-
you're not going to kick yourself in the ass for not asking me a question?
Yeah, you're baiting me here. Like, I'm definitely gonna. It's gonna happen, but I'm not gonna be able to say it now.
Okay. Hope it helps. Good luck on the climb.
Thank you.
Cheers.